Hi and welcome back. In the last tutorials we discussed about the simple robot template, but the problem with this template is that if you are working on a full and complex robot, it will be very messy and sometimes it won't be so much clear. So now we are passing to the command-based robot template, which is a better way to organize your code in the C++. So what is it exactly? In the command-based robot template, there will be subsystems such as chassis and commands that will control those subsystems. So let's start. We're going to build a new project from example, and we're going to choose the FRC command-based robot template. As you can see, the command-based robot template includes many files, and we will go over them. So first, we have the command-based robot.cpp. The command-based robot inherits from iterative robot. So what is exactly this iterative robot class? Let's look. Here we see that iterative robot inherits also from robot base, and we can see the start competition, and then robot init, disabled init, autonomous init, and teleop init. Then all the periodic functions, and then the continuous functions. The init functions are called only once, and they initialize all the parameters for the disable period or the autonomous period or the teleop period. Then we have the periodic functions that are called after each period, and we have the continuous functions that are called after the periodic as fast as they can. Okay, so let's go back to the command-based robot, the CDP. So we can see here robot init, and here we are initializing some stuff. Then the autonomous init, the autonomous periodic, then the teleop init and the teleop periodic. We can see here that we have scheduler, run column, get instance, arrow, and run. The scheduler is the thing that manages all the commands to work harmonically. Okay, now let's look on the OI. OI is for operation interface. What we need to add is the joystick, because in our operation interface we want to communicate with the robot with a joystick. So let's add one. We need the class member to be pointer. And we also want a function that will return this joystick so that commands could use it. And now we're going to build this function in the oi.cpp. First of all, we need to initialize the joystick here. In order to save time, I will just add here one. Now we'll add the getJoystick function. Okay, now we can go to the robot map. The robot map is just a header, and we will add here all our ports to the electronics. So now we don't need to do anything here. And now let's go to the command base.a. You can see here the command base inherits from command, and this is just a class that communicates between the command and the commands that we will build afterwards, and it just has all our subsystems and the OI. And you can see also init. Let's see what it does. You can see here that we are initializing all the subsystems and the OI. Here you can see that we are kind of initializing it with null, and this is because it is static. Now let's go over the commands and subsystem. Let's build a chassis. So you need to download a plugin. It is in the PDF. So we're new, and then we are adding a subsystem. Okay, now as you can see, there is chassis.cpp and chassis.h. So let's look over the chassis.h. We need for the chassis the robot drive. Okay, and now let's add a function of an arcade drive to drive this joystick. But before, we need to initialize our robot drive. And now let's go to the robot map and add our ports. Okay, and now we can complete writing this. Okay, and now let's build it. So in every subsystem, we need to add functions that the commands will use later. So now let's add it on the command base. We need to add the header of the chassis. Now let's add a command. Okay, so this is the structure of an command. You see it inherits from command base, so it's familiar with all our subsystems. So this is the constructor, and there is 5 more functions. The initialize function initialize all the things, and it is called once before the execute function. The execute function is the main code of the command. The function end is called when is finished becomes true, and interrupted is when another command which requires the same subsystem is also called, and then it interrupts the current command. So here we need in the constructor to write what this command requires, what subsystem this command requires. And now on the execute, we'll add the arcade drive function. We'll call the arcade drive function from the chassis. So now let's build it. And we have here, need to transfer it to here. And we also need to go into the chassis and set the default command drive with joystick for the chassis. And now let's build it again. Okay, everything fine. See you in the next tutorial.